Back with us on the SportsMax Zone. So good to have you on this Friday afternoon. We begin today's show with a look at Jamaica's Reggae Warriors, who are gearing up to participate in the Rugby League World Cup, set to start Sunday, October 16 in England. The event was originally set to be held between October 23 and November 27 last year, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent withdrawals of Australia and New Zealand, organisers postponed the tournament to this period. These are the 18 teams set to contest this year's event. So the Jamaicans, Australia, Cook Islands, Fiji, Tonga, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, England, France, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Greece, Italy, and Lebanon. This will be the Reggae Warriors' first ever appearance at the Rugby League World Cup, with the team being placed in a relatively competitive group. Of course, Jamaica will open their account on Sunday against Ireland. Then they'll battle New Zealand 6 days later. They'll close out the group stage against Lebanon on October 30. To talk about the team's preparation, we're being joined by head coach Roy Calvert. Roy, good afternoon. Welcome to the SportsMax Zone.
Good night. Thanks for having me.
Good. First of all, what are the conditions like over there? What's the temperature like? What's the weather overall like? What are the conditions for good rugby to be played?
Everywhere cold. Everywhere. Inside the hotel, cold. Inside the rooms are cold. In the canteen is cold. On the bus is cold. But building a family here and being with the boys, start to bring some warmth into the camp.
Excellent. What's the size of the contingent and how many of them are overseas based? Because what I'm trying to find out is how many of them would be comfortable and at home in the conditions confronting you.
All right, so currently the playing squad of 24 players. 18 are chosen from leagues in and around the UK, and there are 6 players that came from our domestic leagues in Jamaica. I can tell you that the domestic boys are really, really, really having a challenge. We played a practice game last week in a place called Cumbria. I don't know if you watch Lord of the Rings. That's like Middle Earth. Like there's nothing there. It's very cold there. And unfortunately, we had a couple of the local boys, actually picked up some serious injuries.
Yeah, I know Cumbria rather well. I have a friend who lives in East Cumbria. And he's an Englishman, and he says it's miserable at the best of times.
Yeah. No, miserable is a good term. I mean, when we played the match last week, Friday, when we got up, the sun came up relatively early, about 7 o'clock. We went outside about 9 o'clock. It was nice and warm. We're like, okay, we can get some good rugby playing today. And for some reason, at about 4 p.m., it seemed like someone just said, okay, turn off the sun. That's enough. And then it started raining. At one point, I could swear I felt like hail hitting me or something. But it was not a good experience.
Well, Coach, you don't seem very impressed with the weather, but I'm going to just, touch on something you mentioned to George a short while ago. You spoke about some of the players picking up injuries. So Is there a plan in place now that, we're just a few days away from competition time?
Yeah, and that's why you have a squad of 24. Match day squad is 17, 13 players starting and 4 on the bench. It's good. For me personally, I am a bit disappointed for the local lads. 3 of them, Kamisi McCain, suffered a concussion after being on the field for literally about 5 minutes. Marvin Thompson, who many persons in Jamaica would know of him as the face of Rugby League in Jamaica, picked up a serious calf injury. And Ronaldo Wade, season campaigner, picked up a hamstring injury. Our physicists and doctors are very qualified here. They are some of the best sports doctors in the UK. A lot of them are of Jamaican heritage, actually, and they have been working to see how they could get the boys ready for probably the next game or the third game.
Yeah, and just to have Jamaica compete at the Rugby World Cup is an accomplishment in itself. And many a times people say being an underdog is not always a bad thing because, not too many expectations of you. Talk to me about the mood like in the camp, minus the weather that all of you are dealing with. What's the aim at the end of this Rugby World Cup tournament?
Well, yesterday I sat down with some persons on the coaching staff, and we were looking at what our squad looked like 2 months ago, and compared to our squad now. And I can tell you that we have made like 9 changes over the last 2 months due to injuries. There's a word that has been going around in camp, and that's effort. We want to leave this World Cup with our heads held high. We want 10, 20, 30 years from now, when we're sitting with our kids, our grandkids on our lap, we can put up the games and we'll be proud to say, I was a part of Jamaica's first national team going to the World Cup. The boys have been good so far, we have gelled really well. Training has been good. Initially, it was a bit difficult for the local lads because there's no way to get used to the school, unless you actually live here. So they're still struggling a bit, especially when we go to training. But I think the longer we're here, the better they will be for it.
Yeah, Roy, given you know who your opponents are and you've known that for some time now, the best teams in the tournament are able to scout their opponents scientifically and, of course, tailor their starting side to nullify the strengths of those opponents and, of course, accentuate their own strengths. The quality of your squad may not be the same as the big guns in this tournament, but I'm sure you'd have done your scouting nonetheless. Against which of these group teams do you fancy your chances against the most?
I mean, we fancy our chance against anybody. At the end of the day, it's sports. Yeah, anything can happen on the day. I've just asked the boys, just brand Jamaica. That's what we're representing. That's the English lads love using the word Talawa. We actually have a set play called Talawa, and whenever that is called, it's all in. So. Looking at it, New Zealand is the world #1 team. They're actually pre-tournament favorites. But I think that a lot of guys here are really looking forward to just playing against New Zealand. I mean, who wouldn't want to play against New Zealand in rugby? To face that haka and knowing that you'll have to perform. At the end of the day, I just want the boys to go there, give their best, and leave the field with their heads held high.
Yeah, when you look at the group that we were in, Roy, and you look at the names, the teams that we've been drawn with, New Zealand, and anybody who loves rugby around the world, I'm certainly a rugby fan, can reel off the names. Jonah Lomu, the New Zealand legend of blessed memory. Sonny Bill Williams of recent vintage, another great New Zealander. And of course, when I think of Irish rugby, the only name that comes to my mind, the name that sits above everybody else is Brian O'Driscoll, the former Irish standout and former Lions captain. The thing is this, do you see us developing the culture for rugby in this part of the world, in this country, that in cycles from now, years from now, the way I can mention Brian O'Driscoll for Ireland, the way I can talk about Sonny Bill Williams for New Zealand and Jordan Luma for New Zealand, that there will be some Jamaican hero of the rugby that subsequent generations will be able to talk about?
Yeah, man, definitely. I told the boys today that they're already heroes in my eyes. But growing the sport back home is actually paramount to our survival. When you look at it, we really don't have a dedicated field as yet, to train and play. We have to be sponging on football fields, Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. So again, I'm pleading to the government, to do something about it. And not only for rugby league, there's also rugby union. I would say, without a doubt, that rugby league is probably the second most popular field sport in Jamaica. I make a joke all the while to say that if you come to a rugby league game, you'll definitely see more fans than a local cricket team. And people laugh, but it is true.
Yes.
It is true. We already started making plans because qualifiers for the 2025 version is next year. And
yes.
It's actually going to be in Jamaica.
Yes.
So we have been teams, the Canadian team, the USA team, Brazil and Chile, coming to Jamaica. And we're also looking to qualify a women's team for the 2025 version. So even though we're here, we already have our eye, because we don't want to be a one-hit wonder. I'm not throwing any words here, but we definitely want to ensure that our program is strong enough, because this is a legacy that we want to leave behind.
Absolutely so. Well, Roy Calvert, we're out of time. Thank you very much for speaking with us. And listen, if you want to do Jamaicans a favor, just beat up Lebanon. No? New Zealand are a big team. Ireland are a big team. But look, you must be able to grind out a result against the Lebanese. If you do that, we'll be very happy. Whatever happens, we'll be very happy. But if you beat the Lebanese, we'll be distinctly happy with the performance of the Reggae Warriors. All the best to you and the team. And you see, I mentioned some big names and I'm forgetting perhaps, well, not bigger than Jonah Lobo, but big. Dan Carter. How could we forget Dan Carter, Roy? Yeah? Yeah, a New Zealand royalty. Yeah. There you go. All right, all the best to you. We'll talk again.
Thank you very much.
Good. That's Roy Calvert, head coach of the Reggae Warriors. The Jamaicans there in London, England, for the Rugby League World Cup. And yeah, they are joining a group with New Zealand, Ireland, and Lebanon. And they'll be doing their best, is what they're promising.